Have you ever told yourself, I know what I need to do, but I just can't do it? You know you should wake up early. You know you should focus. You know you should take action. But instead, you delay. You avoid. You choose something easier. And then afterward, you feel frustrated. Because it doesn't make sense. You're not lazy. You're not incapable. So why does this keep happening? The answer is not lack of discipline. It's deeper than that. Every decision you make is controlled by two invisible forces: pain and pleasure. At every moment, your brain is asking one simple question: will this bring me pain or pleasure? And your behavior follows the answer. If something feels painful, you avoid it. If something feels pleasurable, you move toward it, even if it's not good for you. That's why you choose comfort over growth. Not because you want to fail, but because your brain is wired to avoid pain first. And until you understand that, you will keep fighting yourself. Every decision you make is influenced by two invisible forces: pain and pleasure. You may think you're acting based on logic. You tell yourself, this is the right thing to do. This will help me in the future. But your brain is not wired to prioritize logic. It's wired to prioritize feeling. At every moment, your mind is asking, what will this cost me emotionally, and what will I gain? If something feels painful, even slightly, you hesitate. If something feels pleasurable, even temporarily, you move toward it. And most of the time, you don't even notice this process happening. It's automatic. For example, you sit down to work. But suddenly, your phone feels more interesting. Not because it's important, but because it feels easier. Work feels like effort. Focus feels like pressure. So your brain labels it as pain. And scrolling? That feels like relief. So you choose it. Not because it's better, but because it feels better. That's the difference. And when this pattern repeats over time, it becomes your default behavior. You start choosing what's easy over what's meaningful. And slowly, that shapes your life. Here's the part most people don't realize. You are not always in control of your actions. Not because you're weak, but because your brain runs on patterns. Once a behavior is repeated enough times, it becomes automatic. You don't think about it. You just do it. That's why you can open your phone without even realizing it. Why you delay without deciding. Why you fall into the same habits, even when you promised yourself you wouldn't. Because those behaviors are no longer decisions. They are programs. And those programs are driven by pain and pleasure. Your brain has learned. This feels good, repeat it. This feels uncomfortable, avoid it. So it creates shortcuts. Habits that require less thinking, less effort, more comfort. And while that helps you conserve energy, it also traps you. Because if your automatic behaviors are unhealthy, they will run your life in the background, without your awareness. That's why change feels so difficult. You're not just trying to make better choices. You're trying to override a system that's been running for years. But here's the key. Once you understand that your behavior is programmed, you stop blaming yourself. And you start focusing on rewiring the system. Here's the truth most people don't want to admit. Growth feels painful. Waking up early feels uncomfortable. Staying disciplined feels restrictive. Facing your fears feels intense. So your brain labels these things as pain. And once something is labeled as pain, you avoid it. Even if you know it's good for you. Because your brain is not designed to make you successful. It's designed to keep you safe. And safety means avoid discomfort, avoid risk, avoid uncertainty. So when you try to grow, your brain resists. It sends signals like, "This is too hard. You can do it later. You don't need to do this now." And those thoughts feel real. But they're not truth. They're protection mechanisms. The problem is, what protects you in the short term keeps you stuck in the long term. Because every time you avoid the pain of growth, you reinforce the habit of staying the same. And over time, comfort becomes your prison. If pain pushes you away, pleasure pulls you in. Scrolling your phone feels easy. Watching videos feels relaxing. Doing what's comfortable feels good. And your brain loves that. Because pleasure releases reward signals. It gives you instant satisfaction. No effort. No struggle. Just relief. But here's the trap. Not all pleasure is good. Some pleasure is short-term, but destructive long-term. And your brain doesn't always know the difference. It simply asks, "Does this feel good right now?" If the answer is yes, you repeat it. That's how habits are formed. You don't repeat what's good for you. You repeat what feels good to you. And that's why people stay stuck in cycles. They choose temporary pleasure over long-term progress. Again and again. Until it becomes automatic. If pain and pleasure control your behavior, then the key to change is simple. Backhand index pointing right. Change what you associate with pain and pleasure. Right now, you associate discipline equals pain. Comfort equals pleasure. And that's why your behavior follows that pattern. But what if you flipped it? What if you trained your mind to see backhand index pointing right inaction as pain, backhand index pointing right growth as pleasure? Because in reality, the pain of staying the same is far greater than the pain of change. But it's delayed. So you don't feel it immediately. That's why you ignore it. But once you become aware, you can consciously shift your associations. Change doesn't happen just because you want it. It happens when you have enough leverage. Leverage is emotional pressure. It's the moment when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of changing. Think about it. People don't change when it's convenient. They don't change when it's easy. They change when they feel they have no choice. When the consequences of their current behavior become too real to ignore. When the cost of inaction becomes unbearable. That's leverage. Right now, many of the things you want to change don't feel urgent. The consequences feel far away. So your brain doesn't take them seriously. But imagine this. What if you could clearly see where your current habits are leading you? Not just today, but months from now. Years from now. What would it cost you to stay the same? Missed opportunities. Lost confidence. A version of yourself that never reaches its potential. When you connect deeply with that future, something shifts. Because now, staying the same feels painful. And that pain creates urgency. That urgency creates action. So instead of waiting for life to force you to change, create your own leverage. Make the cost of staying the same real. And once you feel that, change stops being optional. It becomes necessary. Once you shift how you associate pain and pleasure, your habits begin to change naturally. Because habits are not built on logic. They are built on emotion. You don't repeat something because it makes sense. You repeat it because it feels rewarding. That's why forcing habits rarely works long-term. You can push yourself for a while. You can rely on discipline temporarily. But if your brain still associates that habit with pain, it will resist. Eventually, you fall back. So the real strategy is this. Make the habit feel good. Not by pretending, but by connecting it to something meaningful. For example, don't just see working out as effort. See it as becoming stronger, more confident. Don't just see learning as hard. See it as growth, progress, power. When you shift the meaning, you shift the emotion. And when the emotion changes, the behavior follows. Start small. Consistency matters more than intensity. Because each time you repeat the behavior, you reinforce. Every day, your life is shaped by a simple loop. Backhand index pointing right decision emotion action result. And most of the time, you're not even aware it's happening. You wake up. You feel something, tired, distracted, unmotivated. And based on that feeling, you make a decision. Backhand index pointing right, I'll do it later. Backhand index pointing right, I don't feel like it today. That decision leads to an action. And that action creates a result. But here's where it becomes powerful. That result reinforces the emotion that started it. So the next day, you repeat the same pattern. That's the loop. And over time, it becomes automatic. That's why people feel stuck. Not because they can't change, but because they're repeating a loop they don't even see. To break it, you don't need to change everything. Backhand index pointing right, you need to interrupt the pattern. Catch the moment between emotion and decision. That small gap is where your power is. Instead of reacting, pause. Choose differently. Even once. Because one different decision creates a different action, a different result, and slowly, a different life. At the end of the day, your life is not controlled by what you know. It's controlled by what you feel driven to do. And what you feel driven to do is shaped by pain and pleasure. That's why knowledge alone doesn't change anything. You can know exactly what to do, and still not do it. Because your brain is not asking, is this right? It's asking, does this feel good, or painful? And your behavior follows that answer. So if you want to change your life, you don't just need new goals. You need new emotional patterns. You need to train your mind to feel pain when you stay the same. Feel pleasure when you grow. Because once that shift happens, everything becomes easier. Discipline feels natural. Action feels automatic. And progress becomes consistent. So here's the question. What are you currently avoiding, because it feels painful? And what are you repeating, because it feels good? Because those two answers are shaping your future right now. And the moment you take control of that, you stop fighting yourself. And you start moving forward. You don't have a discipline problem. You don't have a motivation problem. You have a pattern. A pattern where your brain keeps choosing what feels good now over what will be good for you later. And until you change that pattern, nothing changes. Right now, do this. Think of one thing you've been avoiding. Something you know you should do, but keep putting off. Now ask yourself, what pain am I trying to avoid? Is it discomfort? Fear? Effort? Uncertainty? Be honest. Now flip it. What will this cost me if I keep avoiding it? Not just today, but weeks from now, months from now. Feel that cost. Because that's your leverage. Now take one step further. Take one small action immediately after this video. Not something big. Just something real. Because action breaks the pattern. If you want to understand why you do what you do, If you want to break the habits that keep holding you back, and if you're ready to build real discipline that actually lasts, then this channel is for you. Because here, we don't just motivate you. We help you understand your mind, so you can finally take control of it. So make sure you subscribe now. And join a community of people who are done repeating the same patterns, and ready to change. The moment you change what drives you, you change your life. I'll see you in the next episode.